All I wanted from this, though, was to find my father. Even though they promised to help me, keeping me locked here without the ability to leave was no better than being tied up. Just when it felt like I'd made some progress into my journey, my search was kept to a halt. Perhaps I thought I could talk to Hijikata. If he would give me permission to look for my father. Oh no, that's right. Hijikata just recently departed for Osaka. Well, if Hijikata's not here, I wasn't sure what to do. Perhaps there would be someone in the inner courtyard to whom I could speak, I thought. I didn't want to be spotted by the soldiers, so I hid for a moment and scanned the area. Oh, good. Things were looking up. The only people in the courtyard were Okita and Sato. Good morning, Okita. Good morning, Sato. They showed no sign of surprise to my approach and turned lazily to greet me. How did you guess? Well, I didn't want to impose or complain, but they had asked me. I was hoping I could go look for my father soon. He hadn't exactly left me any room for argument. Is there really nothing you can do? It's not like I want to go very far, just walking around the city is enough. Your rounds? I must have worn a confused expression because Okita's eyes narrowed and he proceeded to warn me. Well, I do know a little of swordsmanship. I should be able to protect myself a little. Internally, though, I was frightened by the rounds. The last thing I wanted was to see another person die. I had seen enough of that to last a lifetime. I had to remind myself that fear couldn't rule me. No matter what, I had to find my father. Kyoto may be a dangerous place, but being paralyzed by fear would prevent me from ever finding him. What? But... No, of course it's not. And I have taken lessons, I'm not lying. But I can't attack you. If my hand were to slip and I cut or stab you, not only would you be injured, but you could die. Excuse me, you don't have to laugh. Of course I haven't thought I could beat one of the captains of the Shinzengumi, but still, there's still a chance of someone getting hurt. If it's to help someone or to protect myself, I wouldn't think twice to draw my Kodachi. But right now... So this is to test my skill, right? I looked down at my sword. Even with the scabbard or the back of the blade, a misplaced strike could break bones. However, this was the opportunity I waited for. I don't want to miss this chance. I straightened up and looked straight into Sato's cold, calm eyes. Let's go. I settled into a fighting position. Sato cocked his head slightly to one side and let out a small noise I took to be a laugh. His stance stayed defensive, no sign of fear despite the fact that I was clearly ready to attack. Did he intend to leave his sword sheathed? I stopped the thought as it entered my mind. His words to be trusted. Here I come. As I stepped forward, I let out a yell and lunged. The back of my blade collided with the shoulder of a defenseless Sato. Or so I thought. Huh? In the blink of an eye, his face was only inches from mine, and I could feel the cold steel of his blade. This was the skill of a Shinzengumi captain. My body froze and sweat dripped down my neck. He turned without another word, sheathed his sword, and began to walk away. I then noticed how wildly my heart was beating. What was that? Huh? I looked over at Okita to see him holding my kodachi. I looked down at my hand where I'd expected the sword to be. It was empty. I'm sorry, thank you for picking up my sword. He nodded and tossed the sword to me. I reached for it, but there was almost no strength left in my hands and I nearly dropped it. The blow of Sato's sword on my own had left my hands numb. That strength seemed almost inhuman. Yes, I suppose I'm okay. But what's Yai? I felt like a bit of a fool asking, but they seemed to think it was a perfectly legitimate question. Yes. You wear your katana just like my kodachi then. That's right. Older katanas were... Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong thing. And he could have easily taken my head with that blade. Had we faced an actual battle, I would have been dead sooner than I could prepare myself. That's not a problem Sato has. It seems like he could easily finish an opponent with a single blow. The only reason I survived that encounter was because Sato had never intended to kill me. A thought that made me shiver. That's aye then. And from a true master of the art. It left me speechless, trembling from its power. A feeling of horror began to creep and coil itself around my heart. The outside appearance of the Shinzengumi did not reflect their deadliness. It memorized me to witness men who could be gentle, yet killers. Really? I looked from Sato to Okita. He gave me a smile and brought his hands together in polite applause. Then that means you can take me with you? Right. I had a feeling he was going to say something similar, so I simply nodded in agreement. Oh, you don't need to apologize, Sato. It's alright. Sato looked at me for a beat, then turned away. I thought perhaps he looked to me with pity. Really? Okita smirked, and I couldn't tell if he was kidding or meant it. I turned to look up to the sky, watching the white clouds gently drift apart. Perhaps a shy omen. At least I had made some progress in my search, I told myself, however little. The wind had pushed the clouds off of Kyoto. The brilliant blue they'd hidden sparkled above. Time stood still, shadows drifting along my wall. How long am I going to do this? Solitude was proving detrimental to any glimmer of hope. My heart felt heavier with each moment. How lonely the wistful, forlorn mind can become. I've been swept up in a frightening world I didn't understand and couldn't possibly control. I can't possibly figure out what's happening to Father if I'm stuck here. Only Hijikata can give me permission to leave, and he's gone. All I could do was wait. Laminating things I couldn't change wouldn't improve my situation and would arguably make it worse. I knew I couldn't trust the men of the Shinsengumi completely. They were, after all, men who could take life in the blink of an eye. It would be just as easy for them to end my life. Well, at least they've been nice to me, for now. They're nice men deep down, right? What are you doing here? Did you hear everything I said? He heard me. He had definitely heard me. I wanted to scream, but before I could open my mouth, Sato stepped out from behind the door. Wait, were you here the whole time too? Oh, thank goodness. I'm sorry for screaming like that. True, I didn't say anything bad, but still. Well, I was just embarrassed to be caught talking to myself. As Sato watched me fidgeting and mumbling, his eyes pierced right through me. Oh, no, nothing at all. Sato shrugged shortly before we caught the sound of footsteps approaching us noisily. Hisuke shot through the door. The moment he saw us, however, his face fell. Sorry, Tao, I'll be there as soon as I can. He turned to leave, but he halted in his tracks. He pursed his small lips together before speaking. Are you sure? Alright. I'll do that then, Hisuke. I wanted to screenshot that.
それは体の大きさだ。大きいやつにはそれなりに空量が必要なんだよ。ああ、育ち盛りの俺はもっともっと食わないとね。毎回こんなのすまないな。
I've gotten used to it. Oh. Why aren't you taking anything?
あんまりお腹いっぱいに食べるとバカになるしね。おいおい、バカとは聞き捨て。だがその飯はいただくぜ。どうぞどうぞ。僕はお酒をチビチビしてればいいし。じゃあ俺も酒にするかな。ただご飯とか気にしないで。お腹いっぱい食べるんだよ。
I know. I can't help but feel a little bad though.
気にしなくて。自分の飯は自分でも。
Okay. Always eating alone made the experience of dinner with these men both an exhilarating and frightening evening for me. It was actually fun.
最初からそうやって笑ってる。俺らもお前を悪いようにはしないさ。
Harada. His mouth curled up into an honest smile of his own. Had I really looked so down? Perhaps they were all trying to cheer me up. I wasn't quite sure how to feel. I was conflicted over whether or not to feel pity for myself or to appreciate the moment for what it was. The joy seemed to be winning out. However, I caught myself smiling as Inoue entered the room. Or is it Ino? I'll say Ino. As usual, his voice was warm, but in his eyes was a level of solemnity I'd never seen before, at least during our brief acquaintance thus far. The warmth of the room slowly evaporated. What?
何があったの？ああ、二人が訪ねる大坂の呉服屋に老師たちが無理やり押し入ったらしい。駆けつけたトシさんと三男さんがなんとか老師たちを退けたらしい。その時切られたそう。
Is he going to be all right?
相当の深手だと手紙に書いてあるけど、傷は左腕とのことだ。剣を握るのは難しいみたいだが、命に別状はないそうだ。
Oh, thank goodness. I exhaled a brief sigh of relief, but the rest of the room was tense, still itching for answers.
数日中には当初へたどり着くんじゃないかな。それじゃあ、私はイサミさんと話があるから。
He turned as he spoke, his last words delivered over his shoulder, and was gone. It was Sato who soon broke the awkward silence. Oh, at last I understood. Huh? Wait, that didn't make any sense. What are the Furies? Huh? Before I could move, Harada was on his feet and halfway across the room. I barely had time to gasp before he drove his fist into Hisuke. Hisuke, are you alright? After a moment, Harada curtly nodded to Hisuke in an apology, the latter offering a quick, pained smile. His punch had enough force to knock out a lesser man, but Hisuke seemed unfazed. It was never clear how different these men were. His voice was friendly, but his eyes gave his words a cold weight that made me feel uncomfortable. Akita's voice was flat, motionless. A sudden chill of milk and holly entered his eyes. I couldn't bring myself to say anything more. Thankfully, Nagakura broke the awkward silence. I was only a guest in their house, not a warrior of the Shinzengumi. The truth of the Shinzengumi's secrets were no business of mine, something I'd known. There was little value in that sentiment, however. I bit my lip and kept silent. The wall between us was almost tangible, almost far too large an obstacle for me to defeat easily. I finished my dinner in sad silence, excused myself, and returned to my room. I had a great deal to think about. Furies, huh? I wondered to myself if the Furies referred to the Rakshasa pictured in Buddhist text. Though I wasn't well versed, I recalled reading a text about a man-eating demon god with that name. I have no idea where to start, from drinking the medicine to Captain becoming a Fury. No, I wasn't supposed to think about those things. I was only going to get myself in trouble if I stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Seeing or hearing the wrong thing could kill me. If I die, I'll have a hard time looking for my father. The Shinzengumi captains are keeping themselves hush around me, especially about the Furies. Are they doing it to protect me? Even if I dug around, I'm sure nothing good would come of it. With that in mind, I did my best to clear my head of the evening's events and slipped into my futon. Okay, let's see. I want to save it here. March 18th, 64. The fast approached a month since I began living within the Shinzengumi headquarters. Hijikata and Sanin finally returned to the compound from their trip to Osaka, but spirits were low. Sanin's injury had unforeseen consequences for everyone in the organization. Day-to-day operations became hectic for a little while. His wounds seemed quite dire, and they drained whatever goodness in his nature he'd hoped to keep. Sanin would spend days holed up in his room, protected by a barrier of impenetrable silence. If he were to leave his room, a rare occasion now, he was often short-tempered and quickly retreated. Even though I too spent days in the exile of my room, he seemed to take it much differently. Sanin seemed trapped within a painful memory, each day bringing him closer to a gloomy twilight. Okay, so... No. There we go. Save. Alright, guys. So did I look like I was laying back the whole time? Not bad. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it off here for tonight. And if not tomorrow, then the following day I'll be back playing some more. This is gonna be a really long game because there's another whole game that comes after this one that I can't wait to get to. So thank you guys for watching and stopping by. And I'll see you next time.